The lone gunman, armed with weapons of war and hate-filled soul, shot and killed 10 innocent people in cold blood at a grocery store on Saturday afternoon. Jill and I, like all of you, pray for the victims and their families and a devastated community. The Justice Department has stated publicly that it is investigating the matter as a hate crime, racially motivated act of white supremacy and violent extremism. As they do, we must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America. The hearts are heavy once again, but a resolve must never, ever waver.
That was President Joe Biden yesterday reacting to the shooting in Buffalo, and as countless presidents have done before him, seeking to console a nation in the aftermath of another racist mass shooting. We're back with our panel. Claire, you talked about DOJ investigating and charging as a hate crime. Michael Steele talked about voting rights legislation, police reform legislation. Are you confident that sort of the levers of the executive branch are functioning as rapidly or have adapted to the threat we now face from domestic violent extremism motivated by white supremacy?
Well, we have hate combined with an incredible love affair of guns in this country. We need to remind ourselves, while there was that awful, horrific shooting in New Zealand, this is essentially an American problem. And it comes back to these military-style weapons that are designed to kill as many people as possible in as short as possible time period. And obviously, that is the power of the NRA, once again, firmly in the back room at Mitch McConnell's office, the NRA, and all of the gun lobby. And guns have become a symbol of the Republican Party in terms of their quote-unquote freedom. It doesn't matter what kind of weapon it is. So gun safety is something this country wants. They want it. This country wants gun safety. They want more controls over the type of weapons that are easily put in the hands of an 18-year-old that clearly is mentally ill and full of hate. But we have not been able to politically get it done yet. And that will take more votes. It will take more people getting elected that are following the will of the people on this subject. And for the life of me, I got to tell you, when I talk about this subject, I want to crawl in bed and pull the covers over my head, because it is really like Groundhog Day. And it is so heartbreaking that we all know we can do something. It's not going to solve the problem, but we can do something. But yet we continue to do nothing.
Don't crawl under bed and pull your covers over. We need you to be part of this conversation. And Nick, we need you to be part of this conversation. And I wonder if you think that anybody at Fox sees any correlation between Tucker Carlson championing great replacement theory and a mass shooter who is responsible for the actions of his own actions, but who also adhered to the ideology that Tucker amplifies night after night.
I think what Fox would say is that Tucker takes care in his show to denounce violence. He's not for violence, even as he fans fear every night on the same show.
So what do you think they'll do tonight? What do you think Tucker will do tonight?
You know, if I had to look at the past performance, you would say that he once again says that he's being misrepresented, or that, in fact, replacement is true if you look at the facts. That's what he said in the past. Now, Joe Biden's administration has sent back over 1 million migrants at the southern border. He's kept some of Trump's policies at the border. He's gone back on others. He wants more legal immigration, for sure. There are differences among the parties. But this is not the behavior of a replacement cabal, as you will hear it spoken about on Fox conservative media. But look, I think this is a top-rated show on cable news. They have a fervent and loyal audience of mostly people over 54. Almost all of them are white. And that's who they're broadcasting to every night. It's not the demo. It's not where the money is made. But that's the size of the audience. And there is money in this. They have found that it lights up their audience. They can be downstream of the more extreme versions of these ideas. They can sand them down. They can make them less obviously racist and inflammatory by leaving out the kind of rhetoric of black people being replacers, which is what you saw in the Buffalo Manifesto. And they can make a lot of money doing it.
So if this is not the country you want to live in, where's the meeting to change this? I mean, I guess what is so distressing is that what you all describe and articulate is a hardwired power structure and financial incentive to just the status quo. Let's just leave things as we are. We're a radicalized, I'm sure despondent, mentally ill teenager who consumes the, sludge that Fox News pushes out that is amplified by the most senior Republicans who, in Liz Cheney's words, she was the last number 3 Republican. And in the last number 3 Republicans' words, this is what the Republican Party is doing. They're enabling white nationalism, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. History has taught us that what begins with words ends in far worse. Leaders must renounce and reject them. I mean, isn't that where we are, Michael Steele? I mean, it's where we are.
Yeah, it is a lot of where we are. I think to your broader question, though, I keep going back to this, and I hate to sound like a broken record here, but the reality of it is these people do what they do because, in the main, we kind of let them. Right? It's as was just noted in the last segment, a third of the American people are okay with this. They believe that, they're being replaced by people who look like me, brown-skinned people, So how do you begin to turn that around? Well, you kind of hope that the remaining 2/3 go, you know what, y'all just need to chill. We got this, and start looking at the kind of people we're putting in our state legislatures who are passing all these crazy laws that we know are fueling this particular flame. Look at the people we're going to send to Congress this fall. I mean, why can't we just ask the straight up question? Do you believe in, replacement theory? And don't give me the hubba, just answer the question. If your answer is yes, thank you very much. You will not be going back to Washington, or you will not be going back to your state legislature. I mean, at some point, we, the people, have to decide how much of this
But I guess, Michael Steele, the rest of that sentence has to be an argument that's made to the country. You will not be going back to the legislature because this ideology is fueling domestic violent extremism that endangers every grocery store, every school in America. Who makes that argument?
We do, because we don't want our grocery stores and our schools endangered. And we don't want elected leaders who sit there mutely or conversely expressing outward support for this stuff, because that's why it works. I mean, give you just a quick example. When the John Birch Society decided to rear its ugly head inside the GOP back in the late 50s and 60s, what did the political leadership do? They said, no, get the hell out of here.
Right.
That's not what we're about. So they found a surreptitious way in the Nixonian 68 effort, with the Southern strategy. And that's been the ongoing battle. But in that first full frontal assault, the party leadership stood up. By the time you get to Trump, everybody's like, okay, because, again, there's money and votes in it, Nicole. And that's the problem. So to the extent that, I always get this feeling that a large swath of the American people sort of check out on this idea. It's like, well, what do I do? Well, okay, who's voting for this stuff in Congress? Who's voting for this stuff in the county council or the city commission or the state legislature? Because that's how it starts.
Yeah. All right, to be